I'm very fortunate to invite Shri Arun Sehgal. He is our professor. Also, some of us have been studied in JBIMS. That's my first connect with him. However, now I'm privileged to have him as a guest here, as a motivator, a speaker. And I think this is the right timing for him to be speaking because this is post-lunch. Normally, this is most challenging. And sir is not, new to any challenges. Because as his company is, as well as his education field is, and various social, all three aspects you see, he has managed very well. He's delayed his flight just because he was to speak here, so I really appreciate that, Arun sir. He's going now to Japan, and that's a tough country. Actually, let me tell you, a dent or a speck is not allowed. I have not dared to even think, but he's doing it. So, I would just give a very brief introduction about him. He's a founder and MD and chairman of Kempro Group. It's present in more than 50 countries in a wide range of sectors, not only in pharma. And he has 25 plus years in sales and marketing, including intermediate bulk drugs, API formulations, specialty chemicals, dye stuff, pigment, ferroalloys. Education, we have a similar alma mater, JBIMS and Billa Institute of Technology in Pilani and mechanical engineering. Quality and innovation focus, and we'll see today, how his thinking is and how our members can get motivated to think like that and develop in a process manner. It's not just thinking randomly, but thinking in a very process systematic way. We will see that. And he has a customer-centric approach. And he's always supporting SMEs. And you must be aware, having this large kind of a business, how many vendors and how many suppliers he must be having, and how to deal with them. And with all these new rules coming of 45-day payment and all, I'm sure that, we have to see how these things can work in a clockwork manner. Even if we think that exporters are not being paid on time, US dollar currency is not there, how to manage all these things. He is actively doing that. And awards and recognitions. I would say too much, but I think he has been awarded multiple times. I've just written one or two. And also by Maharashtra Economic Development Council, LBS, All Association of Industries, and then community involvement through education, through students, through as well as other social work. I think he's been very active. I don't want to take too much time, but I invite Sir Shri Arun Sehgal on the stage. I'll just connect this.
The computers being set up, I must tell you that you all motivated me to come into pharmaceuticals. So really it's been a long journey for me in pharmaceuticals, but I still consider myself a student. Because when I started Kempro, actually I started my career with Larsen Toubro, working for Larsen Toubro in Mumbai. Came to Mumbai to do my MBA after BITS Pilani, but worked for Larsen Toubro. That's where I just learned the art of business building, right? So I started off with colors and pigments. So that was the first vertical that I started building in the trading. So those days, colors and pigments was a big business, and it was relatively easier to get into trading because we didn't have Google, we didn't have all the internet, etc. So nobody knew the buyers. So whoever would travel to the end markets, right, would bring the orders, and then we would go to the manufacturers. But one thing I just followed from day one is that we called people and told them their check was ready. Even though it was 30 days payment, we paid people on 15th day, 20th day. And that's how I built. So I was just taking a leaf out of what you talked about, Dharmesh. So, sorry, I'm just without greeting everybody. I know there are a lot of dignitaries here. I just started off with my presentation because we know that we are running against time. I want to know how much time do we have, Dharmesh? Yeah, 30 minutes. 30 minutes? Then I think I should just do away with the presentation part because actually I have prepared an e-paper for you all, right? And that e-paper gives you all the links. It has all the movies and it tells you about Indian pharma sector, how it is growing. I will just come to basically motivate you. I think 30 minutes means what? We can just talk about what are the opportunities and I can just tell you on the fingertips. First thing that, there are different trends that are basically going to be changing the pharmaceutical landscape. One very good news is that there is enough business for all of us to do together, right? Enough, because we're talking about $50 billion in 2023. which is slated to go to 130 billion in 2030 in 7 years' time. So that means, we just need to continue participating in the CPHIs here, there, and just keep on getting. But another trend that is taking place is that the aging population, right? The world is getting into the aging population. Every country that you'll find that is having more people getting into 65 plus, right? So what does that mean? That means that all those therapeutic categories which are going to be needed for 65 plus, right? Which also includes nutritional supplements, by the way. And people are shifting to a lot of biologics and biopharmaceuticals. So that's where, people like Dharmesh, they have a great future. And there is a lot of room for everyone. The world market is, global market is at around 1.3 some trillion dollars right now, which is going to go to around I think close to $1.9 trillion by 2030, which is again a huge jump. But majority of this value at the global level is coming from the expensive medicines like biosimilars, biologics. So, even though we are adding value, the value is coming from the new innovations. So, one of the things that I will encourage people, which is what we are doing also and we have been traditionally doing, is that, don't worry about it, because 30 minutes mein kuch hone wala nahi hai. हाँ, नहीं तो Q&A करेंगे, बट मैं मेरे प्रेजेंटेशन मेरे फिंगर टिप्स पे तो मैं इनको सबको दे देता हूँ. देन दे कैन गो. मैंने YouTube का लिंक दिया है, बाय द वे. यू कैन गो थ्रू माई प्रेजेंटेशन योरसेल्फ. In fact, the material that I have given to FPME is almost 100 hours of study. It's not 1 hour. Okay. And my passion, I say I'm a teacher first and I'm a businessman later, because business is a byproduct of what I teach. When I say Saraswati should be for free, we should all. Why? Viksit Bharat banega kaise? We are talking about 2047. And if companies like, Moderna and, they are collaborating together to bring in now cancer vaccines. The giants are collaborating. Why can't we collaborate? Right? I am in for collaborations with merchant exporters. In fact, there's only one movie that I will try to show you, which is on the Japanese Sogo Shosha model. Okay, the Japanese Sogo Shosha model is what? That is, all the people like us who are in marketing, right? We become product experts over a period of time. We become market experts over a period of time. There are certain people that, I was talking to some of my students, who I told them that you have to reverse mentor me now, right? I think Dharmesh has to reverse mentor, because I've been so much concentrated on the, regulated markets. Japan, vagera mein, over a period of time, I think we must have given 100 plus new molecules from India first time. First time, okay? So that has been the innovation content, and we've been merchant exporters right through. So what I have done, I brought technologies from abroad, I brought people from abroad, I've done collaborations with ICT, I teach at ICT also. I have PhD students, I have developed a lot of new products in India for the first time in the last, 25 saals, actually 35 years. So there is a little bit of, so there's 35 years of international marketing experience there. So I will encourage you to now see, earlier Lakshmi multiplied Lakshmi, that was an era. That has changed now. Now knowledge is going to multiply, money. So we have to think about, first of all, the new trends which I'm talking about. I was telling you about the aging population. Aging population में क्या हो रहा है कि developed country, let's talk about America. America is stagnated. वहाँ पे population नहीं बढ़ रहा है. Europe में population नहीं बढ़ रहा है. Population कहाँ बढ़ रहा है? Africa में और Southeast Asia में. So where is the new markets going to come out from? So those people I was talking to during the lunch break who were specializing in Africa, my another student Karan here. So great opportunity, but there are risks there of payments, etc., which you'll have to mitigate, and you'll have to find and go and travel into these countries and really find good people. Now, another shift which is happening is, so therefore, old age population की जो therapeutics you got to concentrate on. उसमें APIs कौन से लगे? कोई, there are a lot of APIs which are also going off patent. Look at them, right? Now, where do we have role as merchant exporters is where it is SMEs. Like Dharmesh said, I specialize in SMEs. मैं अच्छे अच्छे SMEs को ट्रेन करके एक्सपोर्ट लेवल पे बहुतों को लाया हूँ. मोर देन सम ऑफ दोज नॉमिनेशंस आई गॉट फ्रॉम ऑल इंडिया इंडस्ट्रीज एटसेट्रा वेयर आई वाज पिटेड अगेंस्ट people like Dr. Ram Mashelkar, and he got the award. So I was so happy because he's my guru, right? So today we have 300 plus supporting manufacturers, and we are into colors and pigments. I say we make the world colorful, healthy, and beautiful. I'm developing a lot of cosmetic ingredients for anti-aging. Because that's where the market is going. Agar hamare out of 11 billion, the population which is 7 billion, which was 7 billion at 2000, is going to become, say, 11 billion by the turn of the century, 2100. There are two trends which are very important. One, the population of children has stagnated since 2000. You won't know that. It was 2 billion at 2000. It will continue to be 2 billion right through the century. And it'll end at 2 billion at 2100. Who's getting added? People who are 45 plus, 65 plus. Now, like it or not, and I don't want to say it in a very happy way because it's a very depressing thing actually that we are moving into a very unhealthier world, right? The diseases are increasing, lifestyle is getting ruined, and therefore more and more diseases are coming, which is going to increase the healthcare spending. Luckily, the healthcare spending after COVID is increasing, which is increasing the market for all the generics, etc. So generics is also growing. The biosimilars are also growing. The age is getting prolonged. Now the average age, which used to be 70 plus something, is going to go. I think most of you young people are going to, it's predicted you're going to live under 20 plus years. So because of this, by the turn of century, we will have more people who are going to be 65 plus and lesser people joining the workforce, which means we will have GDP growth challenges because काम करने वाले ही लोग नहीं होंगे. अब वो काम करने वाले लोग कहाँ होंगे? India is one of the places. So you see, that's why I'm saying that motivation chahiye, to that is the motivation, right? Because this is going to be the happening place where we will have people to work for. We have our own domestic market which is growing, and we have tremendous. India is now 20% generics we are giving. We are 7th in the value-wise category. In generics, we have $28 billion of export in 2023. So almost 70% of this plus is by large pharma companies, right? About 15 to 20% is by SMEs and MSMEs. And you know that most of us merchant exporters, we work with the SMEs and MSMEs, right? Only 10% of 28 billion maximum, 5% say 10%. There is an Economic Times article which says that 5 to 10% of 28 billion is done by merchant exporters. So which is close to around, let's say, $2.8 billion, जो कि मोटा-मोटा 24,000 करोड़ होता है. And I think it's something that we should be clapping for. Because merchant export, वो भी pharmaceuticals where, traceability and all those issues are there. Despite all that, if we have accomplished this much, the future is only going to be brighter because we are tripling the numbers by the turn of the century 2030, right? So these all trends are very, very encouraging. In fact, if I think about it, I get excited and I try to, use these. So I've written a lot of research papers, again, which I use and for my own internal company program, which I'm giving to all of you. Okay, you can sit with that e-paper, you can go on clicking the links on your laptop, do it on laptop, don't do it on your computers. And there is a lot of movies, there are a lot of, KPMG papers, and you will go to, and the typical trends are already taken from those datas, and there are certain sponsored papers it will take you to. So I will today, because of lack of time, I will just empower you how to use that e-paper, which I'll request Ramesh and Mr. Shah to please circulate to all the members, because विकसित भारत बनाएंगे, साथ में बनाएंगे, और उसके लिए ये सरस्वती को हम फ्री में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे, right? And I look forward to collaborating with you. Okay, there are certain markets we are experts, there are certain markets you are experts, there are certain supply chains we have, there are certain supply chains you have, right? Why not we collaborate together? I know there is still margin to be made, but if we can increase volumes, 20% of 100 is more than 10% of 50, right? And the other way around. So suppose if I could do 10% of 500, right? And 20% of 100, so मैं 20% बनाना तो 20, पर साथ में मिलके 500 करेंगे तो 50 बना सकते हैं, right? So there is a Belgian horse theory, some of my colleagues, they know it, that one Belgian horse, he pulls X amount and two Belgian horses, they pull 4X, not 2X. Right? So that is the power of collaboration. That's where I was going to come and tell you the another trend that is therefore happening. So दूसरा trend था कि children is stagnated. Now what is the impact of that? When people are not having children, what are they having? So what is happening to the veterinary medicine? What is happening to the veterinary food? So you will find that few people are looking at veterinary APIs and veterinary products and those market opportunities. But the fact is that we are going into a world where animal health is now coming under focus because animals have become source of lot of diseases, right? तो उनकी तरफ अब लोगों ने ध्यान देना शुरू किया है. अगले 3 डेकेड में ये ध्यान ज़्यादा देने वाले हैं. और उस जगह में आपको, so in my this e-paper I have identified the APIs, I have identified the markets. So I think there is room for all of us to grow. My only request to you is please come and collaborate with us also if you find an opportunity. Right? Now, another trend that I think I should talk about is the integration of AI and technology, which is happening in the pharmaceutical medicine. And now NCEs and then the biologics, if you're talking about oligonucleotides, nucleotides, and then biologics, the proteins and peptides. There is earlier it used to take a long time to develop a drug. Now, with the help of AI, they are doing all simulations, etc. तो जो 100 possibilities पहले try करते थे, अभी सीधा AI उनमें से 95 निकाल देता है on the desk only. The 5 that are remaining, उसमें बहुत कम time लगता है to test it out and do the clinical studies, etc. and everything. So, what that means is that there are going to be a lot of new drugs coming into the market, in each of the therapeutic categories. Now, the therapeutic categories that are growing, because I told you the lifestyle, which is another trend, is cancer, anti-cancer products. But anti-cancer, there are all big players in APIs and they are also integrated into formulations. So it's going to be relatively tough. But if you pick up countries like some of my friends are doing in Africa, etc., maybe you can create some collaboration. Another business which is growing, which is tough for us to do, but if with time, I think maybe if you have the market expertise, is vaccines business. Okay? Huge. Belgium is a country that actually emerged suddenly during COVID. And they have the largest export of vaccines because, again, the kind of ecosystem, it's a case study to study how the Belgians have increased their vaccine visibility in the global market. With collaborations with the educational institutions and private and so साथ में co-development model में उन्होंने बहुत कुछ किया है, right? So vaccines is another. Another, like when I'm talking about technology, IoT. Because of IoT, remote patient monitoring. I am looking into those for my companies. You can also look. I'm giving you all the secrets. We are trying to bring now certain technologies where, it is because of IoT that, and 3D printing, right? We're trying to bring in some medical devices. India is a big market. So we are not only going to think export, import में भी काफी कुछ होने वाला है. And not just, and then somebody was talking about the trade agreements. Now, if you powerfully develop Indian market, I'm sure your principals are going to give you access to the other markets nearby, right? So that is another opportunity. The second opportunity would be that can we make it in India? Because I'm talking to already people. I say that, look, we have a three-tier, system of customs duties. So if you want to really penetrate India, you have to manufacture here. And people are looking at it positively. So, ये जो अभी नया integration of technologies है with devices, that is going to create huge business in the Indian subcontinent. Health spending has increased in all the countries, right? And that means more hospitals are coming up. So hospital equipment is something that nobody thinks about, but that's also something which is happening now. High-tech devices, there are only 4 or 5 companies that Dharmesh ji knows about. They have monopoly, right? Philips, Medtech, Siemens, GE, ये 4-5, they are everywhere. वो टिम्बकटू वो कंट्री नहीं भी सुनी होगी तो देखोगे तो उन चारों के ऑफिस है वहाँ, right? So that is something that I wouldn't encourage people because that's another thing that is very, very big companies are there. But this is another trend which is happening, and you will see that the big are becoming bigger. And they are becoming so big that they are really making life difficult for people like us. Because there's so many times I know that I have a very good customer, मेरे को बोलता है वो बायोकॉन का ये प्रोडक्ट चाहिए आपसे लेंगे हम बायोकॉन के पास जाते हैं, बायोकॉन कहते हैं क्या कहते हैं we all know, right? So we are competing with this big pharma. और उसके बाद अगर हमने 24,000 करोड़ कर लिया है तो आगे तो जब ये 50 बिलियन 130 बिलियन होने वाला है तो हम 24,000 का मेरे ख्याल से 1 लाख करोड़ कर सकते हैं. But we should collaborate. Now where the opportunity is, now I'll talk about Sogo Shusha model. कितना टाइम हो गया? Just keep me. Keep me. मेरे को ब्रेक, मेरे को 10 मिनट बता देना because you know I can talk. It's in my DNA. So how I built my company from scratch was using the Sogo Shosha model. And Sogo Shosha model is where the marketing is a specialized supply chain development, and marketing is as important as using the technology in manufacturing. I had hard time convincing, but because I started with dyes and pigments, उसमें मेरे को थोड़ा easier था. I used to train people in quality upgradation. और वो सब लोग बोलते थे हमारा माल तो यूरोप जा रहा है, जापान में ही क्यों चाहिए? हमारा तो कोरिया में जा रहा है, हमारा तो अमेरिका में जा रहा है, कोरिया में ही क्यों चाहिए? I had tough time dealing with these kind of issues, but I dealt with them, and we did, and I helped them because of my associations with the leading chemical technology institutes, etc. I did take it upon me. I was a merchant exporter, but I did use my engineering, and I still do. I sit with PhDs and I still sit with new molecule synthesis as much capably as I sit with market development. But that is one habit I like to encourage with merchant exporters, because going forward, we have to add value in the supply chain. Unless the buyer sees value in you, he is going to have tendency to go direct, right? And unless the supplier sees any value in you, he will also have tendency to go direct. So somewhere where you can add value, आप क्रेडिट दे सकते हो, आप सप्लाई मैन्युफैक्चरर को इमीडिएट पेमेंट दे सकते हो, आप जस्ट इन टाइम इन्वेंट्रीज कस्टमर के लिए रख सकते हो, ये सब तो सब लोग करते हैं. बट वेयर डू यू मेक अ डिफरेंशिएशन इज व्हेन यू आर एडिंग वैल्यू इन टेक्नोलॉजी, right? So we have been working in Campro on technology. I personally look after that because so we are getting into different verticals including electronic chemicals now, right? So we are wherever I see technology, I try to get in there. That's what takes me to I love Japan because that's where I learn, and then rest of the world becomes easier. They always say if you have a good guru, you'll always succeed, right? So Japan, Korea, these places I'll go to learn how to do. और कुछ हमने जो processes वहाँ पे सीखे हमने pharma में डाले. I remember that we had some challenges to develop a particular quality of rabeprazole, which we did first time. Okay, helping the SME come up to that level, and we went on to get 80% market share of the final market, right? So this is another thing that I will say, that the trends are now to integrate technologies into your business, add value in a way so that you become indispensable in the supply chain. Otherwise, वो होता रहेगा, shortcut होता रहेगा. वो sustainable business build करना है और resilient. You know, after COVID, we have all learned the importance of building resilient businesses. उसके अंदर जाना है तो then you will have to think of. That's the reason that got us now into backward integration into manufacturing. We are putting up a technology. We are putting up hopefully a joint venture with a Korean company for manufacturing some of the APIs. But again, coming back to the figures, I'll tell you, 28 billions में से अगर आप देखोगे तो almost API is only 2.8 billion. Maximum is generics. Maximum is formulations. And again, if you look at the margins over a period of time, the formulations have decreased considerably. And if I look at America, from 25% they've come down to almost 12% today. For US, volumes are there. But this is the data as per the KPMG study, which is there in my e-paper. You can go through it. Now, if margins are going down, that means we will have to look at other increasing the volumes. All the pressures are coming to API. Those of you who are doing API business, you will see that people are asking lower and lower prices. Japan mein to government has passed the ruling कि unless you bring your API price down to 10% every year, right, they don't favor you. Another way, all the governments around the world, because I heard people were participating in tenders, etc. If government, because you know you have insurance coverage, etc., so the government has to recommend, you know, that this particular generic has to be prescribed. अब आपको गवर्नमेंट रिकमेंडेड लिस्ट में आना है तो देन दे आस्क यू फॉर प्राइस टारगेट्स विच इनवेरिएबली आर वेरी लो ऑन मार्जिन्स. सो ये प्रेशर्स, दिस इज अनदर ट्रेंड आई एम टेलिंग यू विच वी विल हैव टू थिंक अबाउट, एंड द ओनली वे इट कैन बी फॉट इज बाय हमारे जो ये SMEs आ रहे हैं, you know, which are lower on overheads, etc., we'll have to bring them into market. And that's where this Japanese Sogo Shosha model, which I'll talk about now, is very important, where I told you that for developing the supply chain and for developing the markets, the Sogo Shosha companies, which are like Mitsui, Mitsubishi, pretty much all the merchant exporters, we are like that, right? So if we start, there are about 8,000 to 10,000 SMEs in pharmaceutical sector. सिर्फ 15 बड़े लोग हैं हमारे पास, 15 से 25 हो गया. तो but look at the numbers. Out of 12,000 units, only 25 units are big, but they have 80% of the turnover. 2/3? Okay. So see, that's these are the major figures. So अगर हमारे को SMEs के ऊपर, basically the trend is what? As merchant exporters, we should identify good SMEs. We should, in fact, you asked me in your letter what are the suggestions. We should create a training program for our SMEs. They should see the value in our FPME, that we prepare them for international markets. And some of our companies who are leaders in different markets, we should sit down and identify. We should work for India. We should stop competing with each other. We should work for India. जिसका जिसमें expertise है उसको वो दो, और these training programs I am willing to also contribute to. I am sure there are many better brains in the audience that they can contribute to, right? And a lot of NPAs are there if you see. Hyderabad में आप जाओ, I'm sure many of you have gone, बड़ी बड़ी factories, इतनी बढ़िया factories, कबूतर उड़ रहे, right? It pains me. Why can't we bring these guys, okay, to a platform like this, and then gradually take them step by step? Anybody who is setting up a factory, उसको regulatory का knowledge नहीं है. मैं सर ये API बनाना शुरू कर दिया, DMF है, नहीं है, अरे कैसे export करेंगे? Right? So they go just because money is available. अच्छा, बैंक वाले को भी पता नहीं है कि उसको लोन देने से पहले DMF का इसको पता है कि नहीं, वो नहीं पता करता, वो सिर्फ देखता है फिगर्स क्या हैं, या you know प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट्स वगैरह देख के सब कुछ हो जाता है. But these regulatory, we need to create, I think that's where the need gap analysis, what somebody was talking about, FPME, we can do it, and I think we should have a separate meeting for this to do that, right? We can, and I think जो हैदराबाद का अभी हैदराबाद भी सैचुरेटेड हो गया. देयर नो रूम इन हैदराबाद टू सेट अप न्यू फैक्ट्री. वो फार्मा सिटी का प्लान कर रहे थे, दैट इज गॉन आउट ऑफ, उनका पॉलिटिकल वो ही चल रहा है. वाइजैग इज ऑल्सो सैचुरेटेड. नाउ यू सी दीज आर गुड ट्रेंड्स फॉर अस. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी. Why? Because people want to grow. They are looking for a place to grow. If people will grow, then we will grow. सीधी बात है. So they are going to Chennai and those areas, right? Bangalore. So नहीं Bangalore में भी हो रहा है, लेकिन I don't know what rate it is going. But we see it's created an ecosystem. But the fact is the growth is happening. Now these people we need to identify. We need to bring them to say कि okay. We work with Sogo Shosha. Sogo Shosha में the marketing companies, the merchant exporters जो कि हैं, जो कि they take the onus on developing different markets. So for example, I'll tell you, if there is a one API manufacturing unit जो कि समझो 4 APIs बनाने जा रहा है, and 3-4 of us just adopt him, right? Train him. उसको regulatory में भी training देते हैं, उसको DMF कैसे बनाना है वो भी करते हैं, उसको quality कैसे करना है वो भी करते हैं. Right? What we can do to India. And these APIs, I can tell you, lower cost APIs, CEP grade बना देंगे उसको, so that they don't require a bioequivalent study. वो भी कर सकते हैं. Because that is where the pressures are in the future. Everyone is looking at lower and lower pricing. If big pharma wants to compete with us, we are here to compete. We know how to compete, but we will need a collective strength of all of us to come and empower the SME sector, because on their own, I don't see that they will be able to do it, right? उसमें मतलब out of 100 there will be 20 people who will be able to do it, but 80 people. But that's a lot of money that is going as NPAs. We should not do that, right? So I think any more time I have? Okay. So I will just show you, and of course one trend which I must talk about is the environment. So we should stop dealing with, and this we have done long ago. Wherever I go visit factories who are not taking care of the environment, we have stopped business, because that's not what I want to give to my next generation. Unless they do something, okay? So India luckily is now quite mature in that field, so we don't have those kind of. So I will. कितना टाइम है मेरे पास? 4 वीडियोस हैं जो कि चारों देखने लायक हैं, पर कुछ घर पे भी जाके देख सकते हैं. Okay. Okay, so let me give you the big hope of the numbers that I was talking about, where the pharma industry is going and where merchant exporters, I think, have a big role to play.
There are approximately 10,000 to 12,000 pharmaceutical manufacturing units in India, including large multinational corporations, medium-sized enterprises, and small manufacturers. About 10 to 15 major pharmaceutical companies such as Aurobindo Pharma, Lupin, Hetero, and Biocon have annual turnovers exceeding $500 million. There are around 8,000 to 10,000 small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, in the pharmaceutical sector. The turnover in 2023 is approximately $50 billion, reflecting a growth of about 10% over the previous year. The Indian pharmaceutical industry is projected to reach a total size of $130 billion by 2030, growing at a compound annual growth rate of approximately 10 to 12%. Financial contribution. Big pharmaceutical companies likely contribute about 60 to 70% of the total turnover, approximately $30 to $35 billion. Financial contribution SMEs contribute around 20 to 30% of total turnover, which is about $10 to $15 billion. Export percentage. Export accounts for about 54 to 56% of the total turnover, roughly translating to $27 to $28 billion. Big companies' exports. Major pharmaceutical firms account for approximately 80% of export turnover. SME export contribution. SMEs contribute about 10 to 15% of the exports. Merchant export companies. These entities typically contribute roughly 5 to 10% of total exports. Major achievements of the Indian pharmaceutical industry. Global vaccine supply. India is a leading supplier of vaccines, meeting 60% of global demand for DPT, BCG, and measles vaccines. Generic medicine production. As the world's largest provider of generic medicines, India holds a 20% share of the global supply. Pharmaceutical exports. In the fiscal year 2022 to 2023, India's pharmaceutical exports reached $25.3 billion, with the United States accounting for about 30% of these exports. Manufacturing facilities. India has around 670 US FDA-approved manufacturing facilities, the most for any country outside the United States. Market size and growth. Valued at $42 billion in 2021, the Indian pharmaceutical industry is projected to grow to $130 billion by 2030. Global market share. India holds a 3.6% share of the global pharmaceutical market by value, aiming to increase this to 7% by 2030. Progress in biosimilars, biopharmaceuticals, and pharmaceutical services. Biosimilars and biopharmaceuticals. India has approved over 100 biosimilars for 35 reference products, establishing itself as a global leader in biosimilar approvals. The Indian biosimilars market, valued at $349 million in 2022, is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 25.2%, reaching $2.1 billion by 2030. Companies like Biocon have achieved US FDA approval for biosimilars such as Ogivri, Fulphila, and Semglee. Pharmaceutical services. India is a preferred destination for contract research and manufacturing services, offering cost-effective, high-quality services to global pharmaceutical firms. Valued at $11.8 billion in 2021, the Indian active pharmaceutical ingredients market is projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 12.24% until 2027. Leveraging a diverse patient population and skilled workforce, India has become a hub for conducting clinical trials for global companies. These achievements highlight India's vital role in the global pharmaceutical ecosystem, significantly contributing to healthcare worldwide.
Okay, so I think I'll just ask Ramesh now what to do.
We have some time for questions, maybe 2 maximum. So if somebody has a question, we'll pass the mic around. Can I answer one of these questions?
Yes, please.
My name is Dr. Anil.
Dr. Anil, Professor Anil said a very important thing, we have to train SME. Anticipating this, there is, for all your information, 15 All India Pharmaceutical Association together, where Modi ji as well as Mesh, part of FME, they are also part of that association. And we are going to train nearly 5,000 SME pharma companies, QA, QC, R&D, regulatory and manufacturing people, free of cost.
Wonderful.
So it's a government initiative initiated by, along with the support of Dr. Rajiv Raghuvanshi, who was with us day before yesterday to launch the first program in Indore. And we had, I never expected, we had a 200 people auditorium. Like what is happening here, people have to stand. There also 25, 30 people have to sit in the floor. And 20, unfortunately, we have to send back because the food person said, I cannot give 300 people food when you order 150. So I said, sorry, we will come back and do again the program on a no cost basis. This program, next program is already offered by FOPE. It will be in Bangalore, Chandigarh. Today, after doing this program, sir, all the associations come forward, when are you doing the next program? So we have identified 17 pharma hubs in India where SMEs are there. Now why I am here is, you are going to be the integral part of this connecting between SME and the quality. Because unless you insist these manufacturers, small manufacturers, for high quality, your business will go, India name will go up, and we will connect through you all these SMEs and train free of cost for them to upgrade the quality. We have a certification program. I am not alone. There are 200 consultants, pharma consultants, working together without expecting any money. So I have connected a forum of pharma quality leaders for the last 4 years, where we have 200 plus. I think our press reporters knows all those things. They have been regularly attending, but it's very small. But we will come back and we will help you to audit free of cost your manufacturers. From our top people who audited Lupin, and all big companies people are there. So I don't want to take time here, but what you mentioned is already going on. Maybe after 5 years we will come and say that, oh, we have done 150 training program, covered 3 lakhs people. That's our dream.
One more thing, sir, I request. No, I have the mic, thank you. Is that you should promote this, what I am talking about, the Sogo Shosha. That, today the problem that I think all merchant exporters face is that the people think that we are here to make the margin in between. That's about it. This has to change, because it's not just, we are talking about raising the image of India by reducing the quality problems, right? By ensuring that every shipment that we make is conforming to the quality. And I request all merchant exporters also to actually start paying attention to that. If they are not, because that's another area also where we need training of merchant exporters also, right? When goods leave India, it's India's image. Regardless of me exporting it, or Dharmesh exporting it, or you exporting it, it is India's image. And we have to bring that commitment that this image is going to be the highest. Now, I'm telling you that everybody talks about poor quality from India, etc., etc. The thing is, some of it is correct also, but some of them are also regulatory games. Now, people are scared of our generics capabilities. So, if you see, we don't consume medicine from a US FDA formulation unit in India. No, I'm saying most of us in India. Indian, I'm talking about Indian, right? Right? Now the thing is that they have done a lot on the regulatory area to bring non-tariff barriers, and we must accept that, right? And these are only going to increase. This is the education part that we need to bring to the small and medium scale enterprises also, that you will have to raise your levels, but leave that tricky situations of market development to merchant exporters who are also having 30 plus years of experience in handling the customers, because this is also a very high tech. I tell you, marketing in pharma is a high tech field itself. The way you prepare regulatory dossiers, etc., the way you handle customers, it's also a very high skill job, and I'm sure those of you who have been doing it successfully, they know it. Right? How to continue the business and how to solve the problem immediately, and how to really see that you get some mileage out of a problem also is an art, which some of the merchant exporters over the years of time by handling different problems have acquired. And that is where there is a room for collaboration. Everybody goes to international market development trips. What is the advantage of Sogo Shosha? You want to go, instead of your 25 people going as an SME, which of course 25 to nahi hoga, but MSME mein hote hain, maine dekhe, a lot of people go. You don't have to go send so many people, right? Because nobody is really, they're learning there with you, और 3 साल में वो दूसरी नौकरी ढूंढ रहे हैं. What are you gaining out of it? So there is some efficiency to be brought in. If we have to face the challenge of reducing prices continuously, then we have to really take these inefficiencies out of the system. And that is where I'm saying that yes, empower the SMEs on quality, etc., but there has to be a collaboration, because there are so many marketing experts here that I see in this hall itself, and we can adopt them, right? We can take one good company and we can ensure that they are there regulatory wise, etc., everywhere they are passing, and then India's image is kept, and they can travel with us. That's what happens with Japan. I'm sure those of you who've seen that there will be manufacturer and there will be somebody from Mitsui going together, right? There is an advantage. Japanese, they're very brilliant people I've seen, and they have conquered the world. दोनों हम countries साथ में ही start हुए थे. 45 में उनके ऊपर बॉम्ब गिरा था, 47 में हमने इंडिपेंडेंस. वो कहाँ पे हम कहाँ पे हैं? There are reasons, right? So हमको कुछ सीखना चाहिए उनसे. So this is another, sir, my request is कि promote the collaboration with merchant exporters and SMEs, so that we also have long-term sustainable businesses, right? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Be on stage. We'd like to felicitate you for spending your time and changing your schedule, and actually, not the least, the insights that you have shared on collaboration, which is the key going forward, and that will increase our value. We have put this as our theme today, that know your value, and our value is, all the USPs that we individually have, if we are using those to collaborate with others, and now we have known there are various forums which are there to grow our supplier base, grow our customer base, and Shogu Shusha, I will share all the articles that he had put, because we can't cover it all today. It's more than 100 years, I would say, put of research by so many people. But we will go through it and arrange sessions. We're not going to share you the document, because that will not do that justice. But we'll take topic by topic as a training program for our members, and we'll record them so that you all can learn. And he's shared openly, he's open to collaboration, and he's shared secrets, which are business secrets. And I really thank him. So with that, big round of applause. And I'll take this opportunity for this event first time. I'm going to do the honors, because he's been my professor also.